Hi everyone, my name is Emmy. I'm so nervous because this is my first YouTube video, but I wanted to make my first be reviewing Cold Front, the Winter Soldier story. I've been reading it. It's so good. I just wanted to review the first 2 chapters. So the book follows the story of James Buchanan Barnes, or Bucky Barnes, and I want to say it covers during his time as the Winter Soldier and a little bit prior to that time. So the beginning starts with the prologue, and it's basically what I can assume, because they don't say names, but I can assume is Bucky when he wakes up in the snow after the accident. And he's basically talking about how he feels all the snow on his body, how he's just frozen, and he's asking himself if this is what dying feels like. And then he mentions hearing ghosts. He says that he feels ghosts touching him, that they're asking him, what's your name, what's your name? And he's just like, I don't know my name. And they keep asking him, tell me your name. And he's like, I don't know. And they say, perfect. Let's go, sis. So then it leads into chapter 1, where we immediately meet 2 characters. One is named Rostova, and the other one, she nicknamed him Alexander Fedorov. If I mispronounce the names, I'm so sorry. Rostova is basically interrogating Alexander, and she's like, tell me what you know. I know you know something. And he's telling her, I'm a student. I don't know why you even have me here. Who even are you? And like, he asked if they're the KGB, and she says, no, we're much worse. And it's so funny because when I read Rostova's like dialogue, I don't know why I get Elena vibes, like between Elena and Kate Bishop. It's not like that at all, like the dialogue between Alexander and Rostova, but Rostova's like dialogue, I don't know why I hear Elena, like she's so serious, but she's like funny at the same time. So then she asks him if he knows anything about the Winter Soldier project, which he's like, that's a ghost story, like that's not true. And as soon as he says that, he sees like a glint in the corner of the room, and Rostova's basically like, well, you better start believing in ghosts. So then a man with a metal arm walks out, which I immediately thought, it's Bucky. So then Rostova says, you know what, I'm gonna let you get acquainted with Agent V. And that's what she calls the man with the metal arm. She's like, that's the Winter Soldier. And I'm gonna let you get acquainted. But something he said, because I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that chapter 1 and chapter 2 are both set in 1954. And Alexander says the Winter Soldier like compares him to Captain America, says like, oh, he's like Captain America. And Rostova says, no, Captain America needed enhancements, chemical enhancements to make himself better. Our Winter Soldier is just like a beast on his own. Like, he didn't need any enhancements. So then she leaves them by themselves. When we see Agent V, who I can assume is Bucky. I assume it's Bucky. There's no like confirmation. Plus, there are other Winter Soldiers, but she does tell him. No, I'm sorry. Something that is mentioned in the book is that Agent V is their most like prized possession, which that is how they describe Bucky as the Winter Soldier, is their most prized possession. Bucky is their the creme de la creme. He's the good cake out of all the cakes. He's the chocolatiest one, you know what I mean? And so that's how they describe Agent V. And so when I read that, that's why I was like, oh, this has to be Bucky, because that's how they describe Bucky. So then he comes out of the interview room, Agent V, and I assume Alexander, they listened to the recording that they got between Agent V and Alexander, and they're like, oh, there's nothing on here, until they hear Alexander say Vida Metropol. And to Rostova, she's like, I don't care, like that doesn't mean anything to me. But to Agent V, he's like, no, please, like, look into this. I know this is something. So the rest of the chapter is them in an elevator and just kind of giving you some background on Rostova and Agent V, saying that he has a bionic arm, she has one good eye and a weakened shoulder, that he's dislocated before. And on page 17 of the book, it says, they both know that if she damaged him, Agent V, the Soviet Union's most valuable soldier, she'd be driven to a field outside Moscow and through the back of the head. If he hurt her, she'd be marked collateral damage and filed away like a traffic ticket, which is why I think that Agent V is Bucky. So then we head into chapter 2, which is also set in 1954. And it's Agent V going for a physical routine. That's what it says, a physical routine checkup. And so the nurse sees him, asks him for his ID. The nurse basically starts putting IVs all over him, asking where it hurts. She asks him on page 21, when was your last stress test? Because he seems very fidgety and he keeps repeating that he's tired. In his head, and I think he says it one time to her, he says he could fall asleep on the exam table except for the electric charge that sizzles through his whole body when she attaches a diagnostic machine to his bionic arm. The electricity maps his nerves and his throat smacks of metallic bile. That's all on page 21. That's when she mentions glucose. She says that his sugar is low, and he like pauses, right? Like he stops and he's like, glucose. Someone's told me something about glucose, but I don't remember who. Someone in my past has told me something about glucose. Immediately, she's like, okay, we need to finish this physical, which I assume is them wiping him, as we've seen from the MCU. But before she can get to the wiping, Rostova comes in and she's like, no, you can't wipe him yet. I need him the way he is. And he's sitting there like, what do you mean the way I am? What, like, they don't even say the word like wipe or like to change. They just kind of allude to it, and he's there like, what do you mean like the way I am? Like, this is me. He's so confused. So the nurse reluctantly lets Agent V go with Rostova, and that's when they meet with Dr. Karpov, and he basically sits them down and is like, I have a new mission for you. I have someone you need to go after, because the Vida Metropol that we heard from Alexander actually was Riga Metropol. Metropol meaning hospital. Riga is Latvia, which is a hotel, which they found out that he was supposed to meet somebody there. That is part of, I believe, the man he was supposed to meet was an English intelligence agent, a British special operative during the war. And when Karpov shows Agent V a picture of the man that he was supposed to meet, Alexander was supposed to meet, he immediately thinks of the name Edward Fleming, which Karpov is like, how the frick do you know that? That's when Agent V tells him, I feel like I know this man. And Karpov says, there is no before, Agent. There is only now. There is only this work. Meaning you shouldn't know anything. You don't have a past. You just know what I've been telling you and what we've been feeding to you. Basically, Karpov is like, you've been compromised, and I don't know if he wants to, I couldn't get the feeling if he wants to like Agent V or if he wants to immediately have him wiped. But Rostova is like, no, like this is just a slip. He's tired. He hasn't had any time off. So if he slips again, it's on me. Karpov agrees, and that's kind of where we leave off in chapter 2. Karpov gives Agent V some pills and says, take them and be ready to comply. And that's basically it. And then for chapter 3, the setting is 1941, and we see Bucky. I put a name because he's Bay. He's just Bay. So that also makes me believe that Agent V is Bucky, because they're not going to call him James, Bucky, Buchanan, or Barnes, because that's his real name, because now we're going back into Bucky's past in the next chapter. So that's all I have for you. See you in the next video for chapter 3 and 4. Bye.